Hi everyone and welcome to Craftbox. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a poinsettia using our dies, and all the materials that I'm going to be using are available at craftbox.co.uk. So we're going to be making the Foamiran poinsettias, and these are going to be made with 0.6 Foamiran, and this one is in colour light red. And I've already cut the poinsettia shape, and I've used our die, which is the poinsettia die that you can purchase on our website. And I'm going to take an iron. So to work with Foamiran, you don't have to use an iron. It's just easier on your hands if you do use an iron. So I've got a travel iron here, and it is on a wool setting, and my table is quite slippery, so I'm going to try to hold it a little bit in place so it doesn't just slide off. So I'm going to take the die cut shape of poinsettia. This is the large size, so the dies come in set of 3, and you have large, middle, and also the tiny one, which I'm going to pick up for you here. So these are the 3 you're going to get in the set, and as you can see, you've got that lovely poinsettia shape that you can die cut using your machine. So I'm just going to apply this to the iron, and then just wait till it kind of moves away from the iron, and when it's still warm I'm going to fold it and then fold it again, and then that little stray leaf is just going to fold on top. I'm going to move my iron away because it is hot. We don't want to burn ourselves, so be very careful when you're working with the iron. And I'm going to fold it. I'm going to roll my my leaf into kind of little buds. So what I do is just roll it in one direction, and then in between my fingers I just scrunch it. So I just do all the scrunching motions for this entire leaf because I want to give it a little bit of texture, and I am focusing on the tip of the leaf just to give it the most definition. So this does a few things. One of the things is that it just stretches the foam. It gives it this really lovely, real looking effect. And it also just makes it a little bit more pliable, because by stretching it, you're just making it thinner, of course, and you're just making it more pliable. Here we go. So that is enough. Now I'm going to unravel this petal, and I am going to take our flower shaping tools. These are brand new on the Craftbox website, and we have them in pink. They normally come in blue, but we have them in pink, which is super exciting. And I am going to take the one with the second largest bowl, and I am going to stretch each petal onto the tool just like so. So I'm just going to do this. You can, if you want to, beforehand, just take a petal and then just stretch it a little bit. That will just make it a little bit wider. Or you can just go directly with your tool onto it. It's just completely up to you. If you do stretch it before, it's just the petal's just going to be a little bit wider. And just going to apply a little bit of pressure. So as you can see, I'm just going around, and when I have the shape I want, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the opposite end of my tool and then press it in the middle like so. And here we go. This is another beautiful poinsettia petal. So I've already created 2 of those beforehand, and I'm going to start assembling those. And the stamens I'm going to use today are the white stamens, and again we do have a bunch of stamen options available in dark and lights on our website. That's craftbox.co.uk. I'm going to take some of those. I would say for poinsettia you probably don't have to have that many. You're also going to need a wire. So I've got some of the copper wire. This is the one I really prefer to work with. I'm just going to cut a little piece of that wire and just make a little loop, like almost like a hairpin. Just going to move this to the side so you can see. And when I have it nice and straight. I do like to get it even because I just find it easier to then pierce through the petal. Okay, so I am going to take a hot glue. I do prefer working with hot glue when it comes to Foamiran, just because it's just quick, instantaneous, and I don't have to worry about anything coming apart. So I am going to take the usually the petal that looks the largest, and just put a tiny bit of hot glue onto it. And then I'm just going to apply the second leaf on top, just like so. So now that I have this ready, I am going to take my white stamens and I'm going to put them in between my wire. Then just fold the stamens in half like so. So I have almost like a little hairpin with the embellishment at the top, and then I'm just going to pierce it through my poinsettia leaf like this way. Just that's why I really wanted both wires to be the same length, and I'm just going to thread it through, and then when I get to this point I'm just going to pull. And I'm going to get the stamens in the center of this gorgeous leaf, because that's what poinsettias are. Okay, so that is one way we can make poinsettia. Now I'm going to show you a different way in which you can make your poinsettia with using Foamiran. Again, I am taking the largest cutout that we have using that I created using our dies, and I'm going to apply it to the iron and then just wait till it starts to come off the iron, and then I'm going to fold it like so, and then just tuck the last leaf at the back or front, and then I'm just going to roll it. So exactly like we have done just a moment ago with the first one. And I'm just going to try to keep it together. If it's easier for you, you may want to use two hands. It's sometimes easier if you have any dexterity problems. So just stretching. Okay, and then I'm just going to unravel this. Here we go. And I'm just going to stretch the petals going inwards, and I'm not going to use my tools. They're just going to be slightly less defined. And before I move on with this, I am going to take each of the tips. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a roll and then try to then smooth it out just very gently. As you can see, I'm taking the entire petal and then just really giving it a nice roll. Okay. And the last one. Wonderful. Okay, and then I've got another one that I have done before, and we can now assemble it. So again, I'm going to take a hot glue, just put the tiniest dab just off center. I always put my glue off center because I don't want to be struggling with my stamens. And then I'm just going to apply one on top of the other, and then just make it this way. Once you apply it, you can't really move it, so you're stuck with what you created. And again, I'm just going to take a few stamens. I've taken a few less this time. And I'm just going to pierce my poinsettia in the middle and then thread the stamens through. Now what I might do with this one is spread out the stamens and just put a little gem inside. Again, these are available on Craftbox website. So of course we are going a little bit of how poinsettias usually look like, but I think that just adds something a little bit special to this entire design. So I usually just spread out the petals and just add a blob of glue in the center, and then add my pearl. I will then just try to align it a little bit, and then whilst the glue is still hot, holding my gem in the center, I'm going to try to get the stamens just a little bit more even. So it's not the end of the world if you don't get it perfect and centered straight away. So that is the second flower or leaf, poinsettia anyway, that we created. Now, because we also have different size dies, I thought it's going to be a good idea to do a few smaller sizes as well. So I'm going to do two of each petals, and I am going to use just the end of the brush just to keep, oh, I didn't even have to keep it, but that's fine. That was just a short moment. Just going to fold it in exactly the same way, and then just give it a roll. Here we go, and I will do the same with the other one. Now be very careful, of course, when you're using the iron, not to burn yourself. I'm just going to make sure that my petal is sufficiently scrunched. Okay, wonderful. And I'm going to take a tool that will work best with the size of those leaves, and I think this one may just be best. So I'm going to create one with the petals indented. Here we go. And then with the smaller end, I'm going to press in the center, just erase some of those petals and just give it this really beautiful and defined shape. And I'm going to do the same with the other layer. And the last one. Fabulous. And then I'm just going to turn around and then press in the center. I usually just use my hand, but you can use sponge. Okay, I am going to take a glue and I'm going to see which one looks bigger to me, probably this one, and I'm just going to put a tiny dab of glue in the center, and unfortunately I had some on the side, so that will be all stuck with the glue, but it's not the end of the world because we can just cover this up. Fabulous. No one will ever know. Well, maybe they will know a little bit. Okay, and again I'm just going to take a few stamens, and this time I'm really going to take a tiny number of them. So if you needed me to count them, I would say that's probably about 8, or sorry, that's probably about 10. And going to take my wire, thread it through just like we did last time. Fabulous. And just going to align it, and as you can see my ends are not perfectly aligned, and I do quite like them even because it just makes everything much easier. when you're threading them through. So that's what I've done. I just cut it even, and then I am going to thread this through and get it to the very end. That's fantastic. Okay, so we now have 3 absolutely gorgeous poinsettias. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to decorate my poinsettias with a little bit of holly. So again, this is cut with the holly die from Craftbox, and we have that die in 3 sizes for you. This is the largest, this is the medium, and then this is the tiniest. And I've cut it, I've cut the foam 4 times. It was folded in 4, so you can cut probably up to 8 layers, and if with good enough machine you'll be able to cut through all of it. So I am going to take my holly onto the iron again. Just going to apply it in the center and wait till it starts to move away from the iron, and then again I'm going to fold it on top of each other just like we did it with the poinsettia, and I'm going to scrunch it and roll it just to stretch a little bit and add a little bit of definition to these. Now you don't have to use bowl tools on these. These are just, you know, you're scrunching it just to give a little bit of definition, more natural looking result. But you don't really have to stretch it because holly is probably just a little bit dented, but not as much. You can just give it a little tiny little stretch, but I wouldn't really use the tools on this one. Okay, awesome. Now I want to really show that there's some spikiness to this, because that's what holly is. So I'm just going to stretch the tips, and I'm going to do the same with this one, which is the medium size, and just roll it like so. Just using 2 fingers, just using 2 hands. It's just a little bit easier. And again, I'm going to unravel the whole thing and then stretch the bottom part just to keep a little bit of definition on the tip. And we have one more because we have 2 large designs and 1 medium. So I'm just going to add it onto my iron. Wait till it's really warmed up, and then take it off the iron. And then again I'm going to give it a really good roll here. Awesome. Perfect. Okay, just going to unravel it and just stretch the bottom part. Fantastic. Okay, so I am now going to apply my holly to the poinsettia. Now, because I already have this center, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take just the end of the brush and then just push it through with the brush, just making a hole. If you plan ahead, you can of course just do the whole thing in one go, and then you don't have to worry about trying to get this through. Here we go. It is quite simple with a little bit of persistence. Perfect. And I'm going now to take a tiny bit of glue and I'm going to secure it at the back. Just the tiniest amount. Perfect. And that is my gorgeous poinsettia done, and I'm going to finish the remaining 2 flowers exactly the same way. So the question I get quite frequently is how to finish off your flower. So what I tend to do is I tend to spread the fabric part, the string part of the stamens, and then I cut myself a circle or a square using a strip of Foamiran that I'm not using for flower making. So maybe something from, just scrap bit. And I'm just going to spread this like so, almost like I would be spreading the actual stamens, because I want to get rid of the bulk. You can also cut it if you wanted to. And I'm just going to take some glue and then just put a nice generous blob on both sides, and then stick the bit of foam to the back, and then I'm just going to press it just so it all is nicely stuck down, and that just gives me a flatter edge. Now I will go with my scissors. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Here we go, just like so, just to cut anything that will be visible. And then I'm just going to reshape my petals. Beautiful. So I'm going to do the same with the other two. And now I'm just going to make a really pretty arrangement. I have some gorgeous berries. They are available on Craftbox website. It's craftbox.co.uk, and they are available in all shapes and sizes in packs of either fancy berries or just like natural looking berries, and I'm just going to create a lovely arrangement with my beautiful poinsettia. So because I'm not going to have a back to adhere these to, I'm actually going to be adhering them to the poinsettias, and that's why I'm going to start from taking my berry and then seeing how that will fit with the entire composition. Okay, that's lovely. And then I'm just going to cut the extension of the little stamen. Okay, and then I'm going to take a little bit of glue to the back, and that's also a good reason why you would want to add some foam. And I'm going to add that berry here, and I'm also going to add, whilst I have some hot glue, I'm going to add this blue one here. Okay, and then I'm just going to wait for it. Look, that looks amazing. I'm just going to wait for it to dry, and I'm going to take a tiny bit of Foamiran I've got here and then just secure it. Okay, that just looks fabulous. And I'm going to do the same with the larger poinsettia, and again I'm going to cut off the excess of that stamen, we don't need it, and then just apply some of the glue. Here we go. So we have that one kind of poking through, and then I'll also add this one just a little bit higher. And again, I'm just going to take a tiny bit of foam and then just secure it in place. So this one's probably sticking out a little bit much. Fab, I managed to push it in. Okay. That's gorgeous. And then I'm going to work with the smallest one, and I've got some of those red berries, and then we have those. Okay, and I think that will look super cute just sticking out of there. So I'm just going to make a little, just join them this way, and then just cut the excess off. We don't need that. And then just put a tiny bit of glue again, and then stick it here, and they will just peeking through. Perfect. Now again, I'm going to take a tiny bit of foam, then just put some of the glue on it. I'm clearly dragging everything with me. Lots of glue strings. And here we go. Just apply those two gorgeous berries, so they just can just peek through, and I'm gonna just arrange the petals a little bit so they're just showing a little bit better. That's gorgeous. Okay, so we now have those. looking very beautiful and super festive. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add just a few more. This time I'm going to apply some glue to the stem. Okay. And then just wait for it to dry. And then we're going to do the same with the blueberry. And I'm just going to pierce it through. Fabulous. And then just secure it with a little bit of glue. Gorgeous. Just gonna need to give it a moment to dry completely. So the last thing I'm going to do before adding this to a project, I am going to take a tiny bit of gel medium on a small brush, and I'm going to decorate the tips of my poinsettia with some gorgeous gold pigment. And this gold pigment is from Craftbox Mixed Media range. So I'm just going to very gently apply some of that gel medium. It can be any glue, a tacky glue. In fact, more liquidy glue will do well as well. I've got a little bit of Tombow, a multi glue, and this will be fine as well. Anything that dries clear, and probably the more liquidy types of glue will work a little bit better, will just be easier. So I'm just smearing that on the tips. It doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to apply gold everywhere, but it's just going to allow me to control where I want my gold exactly. So I'm just going to take a tiny brush, and just a small brush, and then just apply the gold to the petals that have been glued, just to allow it to adhere, give a little bit of grip. That just looks absolutely beautiful. Let me just zoom in for you. Stunning. Okay, so on this one I clearly have covered it with the dust already, so I'm just going to add just a little bit of dusting. A lot of it is going to fall off, but some of it will remain because foam is porous, so we'll just get into the crevices of the foam. Okay, beautiful. That just gives it a real festive look. Okay, so we are now ready to move on and just decorate anything with our gorgeous poinsettias. I've got a lovely pattern paper here, and I'm just going to apply this and then arrange those on this paper and take some nice shots for you. Here we go. So these are my gorgeous poinsettias that I have created using the Holiday Poinsettia dies and Foamiran from craftbox.co.uk. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you again next time. Bye!